There's a quote by Carl Jung, and it goes something like this. If you go thinking, bring your heart with you. If you go to love, take your head with you. And I think that pretty much describes the problem that we have today in Western society, whatever you want to call it. They always say some shit like that. To be honest, I don't really know what that even means. But I know, especially as a dude who grew up as a dude, a straight dude, kind of intellectually minded. I had really good grades in school without really even trying. I was in one of the top engineering programs in the country. And I'm not trying to say that like I'm super smart or anything, but here in the US, as far as I know, we champion, we worship the sharp mind, the sharp intellect. And that's great. That's great. But oftentimes what happens is we forget about all the other aspects of human experience and that most of life isn't actually lived from the head, it's from the heart. And unfortunately, we get so focused, so stuck, literally stuck in our heads. There's a quote from Ken Robinson on his TED Talk. You can see it. It goes something like this. Uh, he was talking shit about professors, and he says, these professors, they're just all in their heads. They see their bodies as like what did he say? Like their bodies are just there to hold their heads. And so we completely miss out on an entire aspect. No, not an entire aspect, many aspects. In fact, I would say it is the majority of the human experience because we spent it all up here and none of it over here in the heart, in the stomach. There's a lot of stuff going down there. And as men, especially from the balls, man, from the balls and yes, even the ass. That's kind of taboo nowadays, right? You go down there, you're automatically gay or homosexual or whatever. Well, actually, there's a lot of wisdom. There's a lot of beauty that comes from your balls and your dick and your ass and all these parts of yourself that you probably don't even feel. Have you ever felt your stomach? And I don't mean touch it. Have you ever just put your awareness on your stomach? Have you ever put your awareness anywhere outside of your head? Have you ever thought what it was like to put awareness on your index finger or your feet? You're definitely not going to go down that far because again, we spend most of our lives from the neck up. It's almost like we're drowning. And again, I want to make it very clear that the intellect is the mind to a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I'm not all on the bandwagon of saying that the ego and the mind and all this stuff is all it's all bad, but it's not complete either. For most of my life, I struggled with severe weight problems. I was overweight. I'm 24 right now. It wasn't until I was 22 when I finally solved all my weight problems for good. And you know what actually made me lose the weight? It wasn't reading a bunch of or trying a bunch of starvation diets. I lost a little bit, but then always regain it. It wasn't watching yet another Jeff Nippard video about the science of fat loss. It wasn't about tracking my calories. All those things were important. Don't get me wrong. But for myself, what actually got me to lose the weight was opening my heart. I shit you not. On February 2022, I had my girlfriend, or I broke up with my ex. But instead of closing in on the doors, instead of falling even deeper into the pit, life opened me up. And that is the power of these really bad things happening to you. Is you every time some shit comes up, big or small, maybe your dog dies, or because that's what happened that same year. My dog died. I got I dumped my ex on Valentine's Day. My grandpa died 2 months before that. You get a choice every time shit like that happens. You can close your heart or you can open it. And that's the thing. You can actually allow all the bad shit in your life to purify you, not make you stronger in the David Goggins type of way, but to purify your heart. And what, as a result of that, is you are stronger. There's a book called The Sacred Path of the Warrior. And we like to think of the macho men as these hardened people. I mean, that's the image that we get of, say, like Rambo or, the Terminator. These hard motherfuckers. But when you look at someone like Maximus, he wasn't hard at all. Sounds weird. In fact, he was actually very, very open, very soft. That doesn't mean he was a pushover. But there's this book called The Sacred Heart of the Warrior, The Sacred Path of the Warrior, where the warrior's heart is open. And it's through this that strength is created. Because strength isn't created by putting up walls, it's by allowing life to flow through you and seeing it as it is. And to do that, you must have an open heart. And especially us guys, you hear that, you hear the phrases of follow your heart, and there's wisdom in that, but nobody really knows actually what it means. Have you ever actually put your awareness on your heart? Do you feel how delicate it actually is? Do you feel how sensitive it is? When I first started meditating a lot, and when I first started feeling into my heart, I thought I was like, I should see a doctor because I might have a heart attack or something. It's not painful, but there's almost this sensation of softness, tenderness, as the guy who wrote, I forgot his name. It was Chogi Am. If I butchered that, I'm sorry. You're so open and it's so tender that a mosquito can touch you. It can go in your heart and it'll be touching. And from that place is a fundamental sadness. And it's not the kind of sadness where somebody said, I hate your shirt. Your shirt's ugly as fuck. Or your dog sucks. I hate your dog. It's not like that. It's it's more like just a sensitivity, an openness. And you just feel so much of the world that you can't help but be sad. And yet it's from this place, as Chogyam says, that fearlessness can begin. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that part out myself, to be honest. But in today's world, there's enough science, there's enough heady stuff going on out there. And I'm not saying there should be less. But what I will say is that it's time to put the love back into science, into tech. We don't need another tech CEO or another SBF going to jail for screwing people over. We don't need another insurance CEO screwing a bunch of people over. We need to put the spirit and love back in technology and business, in whatever it is that we do. The illusion was thinking that they're separate. I don't even